Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, thank you.
Oops, gone too far. I'll just get stuck in then. Hello, everyone. My name's Tom Crane. I'm Technology Director at Digerati in London. I'm also one of the editors of the IIIF specifications. And the subject of this is building IIIF manifests. You might have heard that term manifest a few times today already. So I thought I'd just start with clarifying what that is. What IIIF gives us is a model for describing digital objects, and it has various terms in that model, names for things like collection, manifest, canvas, range, etc. And that the manifest is basically the thing that you give to people, the thing that you send around, the thing that you publish that represents an object, a book, a painting, or whatever it might be, or a collection of paintings or a set of images. It's the unit of distribution of IIIF. If you load something into a viewer, you load a manifest. And I guess the thing that distinguishes a IIIF manifest from other metadata standards that are in use in this space is that it's a playable thing. It's like, in the same way a web page is a markup document that will produce a user experience in a browser, a IIIF manifest is a playable thing, a markup document for digital objects that will produce a user experience in a viewer. So it's not like a catalog record, it's metadata, but playable metadata. Now, most of the manifests in the world are built by machines because they are part of a production line. If this is a live broadcast from inside the British Library's IIIF production line, and you can see here all the metadata going in at one end and IIIF manifests coming out at the other end. And that metadata is typically structural metadata, descriptive metadata, and other technical metadata, and that all comes together to produce IIIF, as well as images and film and other actual media assets. Yeah, there are billions of these out there in the world now, probably hundreds of millions of manifests, billions of canvases. But today we're really talking about a more handcrafted approach. All the things you've seen so far are usually not assembled from massive production lines, they're produced by hand. So why would you want to produce one by hand? I could take someone else's manifest and just adjust it. So for example, I might want to add some canvases into, or some views, some images into someone else's manifest. Or I might want to, if I'm working on a manuscript, I might want to remove the 197 images I don't need today and just work on 3. Or I might want to enhance the descriptions. I can do that kind of thing with manifests. I can just go and get one and adjust it. I might want to make a scrapbook or reconstruct an exchange of letters between different people. Or getting into the AV support in IIIF, I might want to make a case for a different ordering of movements in a symphony. Now, those examples are producing kind of regular manifests that we might expect to work in any IIIF viewer. There's another class of manifests that we want to produce, and I think that's more of the focus today. These are manifests that, while they are standard IIIF, they are targeted to produce a specific experience in a specific environment. And we've seen Exhibit earlier. That's an example of where a standard IIIF manifest produces a special kind of user experience in a particular software environment. So let's just look at some of these sort of cases. So the very simplest, and this is a frivolous example, is me walking up to the Bodleian and finding one of their treasures. And in the same way I can view the source of a web page, I can view the source of a IIIF manifest. And I could take that away and I could tweak it slightly to put a different label in it. And then I could put that manifest on my own site. It's still pointing at all the Bodleian's images, still works in a viewer, but it's got my stuff in it too. I've customized it for my own purpose. But in order to do that, I need to be comfortable with editing the source code of the manifest. I need to be comfortable with editing it in a text editor and not breaking it. Other use cases, this was there was a tweet a while ago, very recently, this article in the New York Times about making digital commonplace books, that is scrapbooks, collecting things from the things that inspire you and assembling them into a scrapbook. IIIF is a fantastic technology to do that. with so many things available digitally in IIIF form, taking fragments of those things and assembling your own manifest from them, that's a really good use case. That idea about reconstructing a correspondence, if one archive has one half of a correspondence and another archive has the other half of a correspondence, you could, using a manifest of your own devising, reconstitute the exchange of letters between two people. So how would you go about doing this kind of stuff? Now, there are lots of tools out there, and I should stress that what I'm going to show you in the next 5 minutes is not exhaustive. The IIIF Awesome List is a good place to look for some. I'm going to start from the absolute kind of simplest but not simplest technique, which is to write some code to do it. Now, that's not something that we really want to have to do all the time, but there are lots of libraries for writing code. So if you're comfortable with writing code, you can find one of the libraries in a language that suits you and use that to construct IIIF. Now, again, that requires some technical insight, so it's not a suitable approach for everyone, but it's a very flexible approach. You don't need to start from scratch with this. In fact, on the Awesome List, there's a whole list of different libraries that if you're comfortable with creating code, you can write IIIF tooling using these components. This is Biff from Nemocene again, same place as Exhibit from Ed Silverton. And this is a friendlier way of producing IIIF Manifest. If I have a folder full of images and I have some metadata that I want to add to my manifest, I can just assemble that locally as a folder. I can optionally add in some little files called YAML files that have the extra metadata I want to add. And then I can run Biff on that folder and it will produce a IIIF manifest. So that's a kind of nice intermediate kind of way of building IIIF. And although this one I've got on screen is really simple, it can build quite arbitrarily complex IIIF that way. The next one we're going to look at is the Bodleian Manifest Editor. This is kind of the other end of the scale. This is a very venerable piece of software created for the Bodleian by Text and Bytes. And this supports a great deal of the IIIF specification. I think it only supports IIIF 2.1 at the moment, but there are ways of upgrading something it produces in IIIF 2.1 to the current version 3. And this is a fantastic tool, visual friendly tool for kind of editing and remixing manifests. If I was going to today reconstruct a correspondence, I'd probably use this tool to do it. All the things I'm going to show you there are links in the slides which I can share afterwards. Actually, we've just seen Exhibit, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. But this is another example of a thing that creates manifests. Even if you're not really concerned with the fact that it's creating manifests, you could use it to create a manifest because you can then grab the thing it's produced. In a similar vein is Stories, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, from CogApp, which does a similar thing, this time with a single image, just gives you a guided tour around a single image. And this, like Exhibit, you can just go online and create your own manifests. This is a set of tools called Anona from North Carolina State University Libraries. And it's not really a manifest builder, but it's a tool for producing more complex narratives via annotation on manifests. So, as part of a wider set of tools, you could produce manifests in one tool, bring them in here and produce quite complex kind of shape-based driven narratives using these components. Really worth checking that one out. A slightly different approach to IIIF creation is this. And you'll see something similar to this in a later talk. This does require some sort of technical knowledge to use, but it's relatively straightforward to generate static sites using Wax. I'm going to look at a commercial offering now. This is called Cryo or Cryo. This is from the Netherlands, and it's in use at the Rijksmuseum and quite a few other museums. And it's very slick. It's a commercial hosted subscription service. You upload your high-res image and you can build those kind of guided tour exhibits. But obviously you do have to pay for that one. Just going to finish off with another manifest editor. This is one that my company produced. It's the one that the Raphael, the very first thing that Luca showed, was created in. And this is a kind of aims to be able to produce a sort of vanilla manifest, but by adding plugins to it, it's able to produce tailored outputs for specific viewing experiences. I won't go into great detail on this now, but there's a couple of links on the slides, including a video for how that's being used at Delft Technical University. And I'm just going to finish because I could go on. There are lots and lots of tools out there. This is really just a flavor and some links to allow you to explore on your own. As well as creating new IIIF tools, one other kind of really good way of getting more adoption is to add support for IIIF to existing things. Now, the two I've got on screen are probably tall orders. You know, one is Google Slides. How about you could save the slide deck I just made as IIIF? And the other is Adobe Premiere. How about you save your complex video, your constructed video as IIIF? Both of those things are theoretically possible, but it might be some time before support for IIIF is added to those particular tools. But there are lots of other open source tools and frameworks, especially in the AV space, things like transcription, annotation tools, where IIIF support would be a relatively straightforward thing to add. So as well as building new tools, there's the possibility of adapting existing tools to bring them into our available kind of workflows and IIIF support. So yeah, so that's a very brief overview of manifest building and why you might want to do it, and some tools that you could use to do that. And the links are in these slides at that address. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you. There's a couple of questions more directly related to you. If you can answer them before or wait until the question time.
Yeah, I can answer those. So, well, very quickly, the manifest. So I've lost that now that you've taken over my screen again. Where's it gone?
I think. Yeah, Melissa's taken over the screen because she's just about to start.
Sorry. The manifest editor is compliant with presentation 3. What are the main conceptual building blocks, elements, or components of a manifest? Excellent question.
I think that one might be a longer question, Tom.
I won't answer that now, but I will hand over to Melissa.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom.